Easter. Keep your proclamations of grandeur. Give me an Easter as small as a seed, one that can be planted while it's still cold outside, one that can be watered with tears, and demands time and patience to grow. I don't need to know how large it will become, how long until it blossoms, or even if it will be pretty. I only want it to grow roots that dig deep down, striving for life in the underbelly of the world. Spare me the cosmic promises of otherworldly escape, and point me to the sacred possibilities within reach. Tell me again about how the nutrients born from decay keep even the saddest places brimming with potential for life.
It's been a difficult and challenging winter, and Easter feels more complicated this year, and I notice that in the rush to rejoice and celebrate, that it's difficult to shake the feeling that celebrations this year are fragile, and that we might approach any impulse for joy with trepidation, perhaps even turning away from the possibility of an Easter morning. What if, after the rock is rolled away from the tomb, nothing has changed? Jesus lay still and dead, and the cruelty of empire goes unchecked as the women arrive to tend to his cold, still body. What if the wild, regenerative revolt of the earth should stand still? Indeed, who could blame it, given the cruelty it has endured? No doubt, we have good reason to anchor into our worry, to feel as though hope is too precious this year as we hold all that is broken in our nation and in our world, the injustices and exhaustion from so many years of fighting for survival, for the right to exist, for safety, healthcare, rights to land, rights of the land, and fair and livable wages. And let's not forget the constitutional right to due process. This year, it's important to remember that there is inside the Easter story, whether we celebrate it through the frame of the Christian tradition or ground ourselves in an earthly renewal of springtime, there is a tension that demands our attention. It is impossible to celebrate this morning without acknowledging the season of death, trauma, and struggle that gives way to renewal, rebirth, and the restorative power of joy. The seed endures a chilling winter, the heart shatters and breaks with loss, the rivers and waters of justice run dry, and fear takes hold as despair and suffering grow. The final cry of Jesus at the hands of a violent empire attempting to extinguish his revolutionary movement of justice and love reaches into this moment. My God, why have you forsaken me? Or, my God, why have you abandoned me? The violence, trauma, and betrayal by God and the state point in the direction of the future. Turning to the work of Professor Shelley Rambo in her book Spirit and Trauma, A Theology of Remaining, we are invited to bear witness to a different kind of Easter story, one in which the resurrection rebirth is rooted in an incomplete death and the journey of spirit. She invites us to reconsider the Easter story through the lens of Balthasar, who preached a sermon called Heart of the World, a sermon that explored the descent of Jesus into death and the witnesses there that gave that death meaning. In that way, by means of bearing witness and the production of meaning that followed, Balthasar's imagination of Holy Saturday knits Good Friday and Easter Sunday together. It exposes the ways in which there is an elision and erasure of Holy Saturday as an experience when we rush to Easter morning, forgetting the story of Holy Saturday. Dr. Rambo's reflection on Balthasar's telling focuses on an important question. What remains in the presence of death? What survives in the wake of death? What do we bear witness to in the underbelly of life? What we notice, perhaps, is a relentless return of life, the force of the seed turned bud, the legacy of love that lingers, the generative and ambitious mess of decay. That is what we celebrate on Easter morning. When Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of James, and Salome arrive at the tomb to anoint the body of Jesus, the rock is rolled back. The body is gone, and a young man tells the women that Jesus is not dead, that he is risen. The life of Jesus as teacher, cultural critic, and resistor to the decay and corruption of empire survives. We don't all believe in the mystery of the crucifixion, that Jesus died on the cross to ensure our salvation, but we can bear witness to what is born in the wake of his death and celebrate a resurrection, a rising up of love, of hope, and of justice. Reverend M. Jade Kaiser from our reading this morning is interested in this Easter question too. The final lines of the poem, quote, "Tell me again about how the nutrients born from decay keep even the saddest places brimming with potential for life." They write, echoing the telling of the Easter story, that one bears witness to the decay of life and then the generative potentiality that's born in its midst. It is a story of resurrection, and one that we need to share over and over again, one we long for when life feels unbearable. And here is where we join the Easter story this morning. We are bearing witness to a new world born in the decay of the old, one that resists injustices and renews hope and love everywhere we turn. It was there when Senator Cory Booker rose in protest in front of the Senate, paying respect to his friend and colleague, civil rights hero John Lewis, when he declared, "I rise with the intention of getting in some good trouble," as he proceeded to share the heartbreaking stories of this nation, urging his colleagues to protect our precious democracy, the people of this nation, and not just the wealthiest among us, but all of us. Senator Booker rose to speak truth to power and to remind those elected, and reminding those elected to serve, quote, "You can't lead the people if you can't love the people." Right? And it turns out love rises too. The revolution of love is rising up when millions gather around the world for the moral crisis of democracy. The revolution of love rises up in communities of connection and mutual care and aid, moving love through our world. The revolution of love is among us when we share what we can and receive what we need. The uprising of love is there when we gather and organize, when we pause and hold space for the hurts and the healing. The uprising of love is happening all around us, defying the odds and multiplying possibilities born in the mess and muck of sadness and despair. This Easter morning, let us rejoice in the good news that love never dies. Kendall Gibbons writes, quote, "Life happens, keeps happening. The dead don't rise, but we do. One day it happens, you take a breath, and it doesn't hurt to breathe. You start to see people again, really see them. Hope rises, community rises, you rise, we rise, life rises. Not because death isn't real. Crucifixion is not just pretend, but because something else is just as real, and maybe even more real. Something happens next. That is the other thing we know for sure. Life rises, outrage rises, love rises, faith rises, tears rise, hope rise. This I do believe," she shares. And friends, in the uprising of love, we can also turn towards joy. Black activist, organizer, and community builder Adrienne Marie Brown reminds us that, quote, "Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom." Joy is a celebration of our aliveness, of beauty, of feeling good in our bodies and powerful in this life. It infuses our lives with resiliency so we can show up for one more day. In the words of Bulgarian cultural critic and author Maria Popova, quote, "In this world, heavy with robust reasons for despair, joy is a stubborn courage we must not surrender. A fulcrum of personal power we must not yield to cynicism, blame, or any other costume of helplessness. And when the war within rages, as it does in every life, the practice of joy, the courage of joy, becomes our mightiest frontier of resistance." Beloveds, let us rejoice this Easter morning in the seeds we are planting for the future, for the uprising of love and the revolution of joy that is leading us to the beloved community. May it be so, and blessed be.